All right, let's make it official. This is November 16th, 2020, the user services meeting. And my question is, has any of you guys used the course reserve for displays? Or actually, how do you guys use your displays or handle your displays in Koha?
Well, so we're an academic library, so we actually use course reserves for course reserves. Display, we just put stuff out. Well, we used to in the old days when we actually had, people coming into the library. We would just put stuff out and not really do anything in Koha per se.
I think I don't do much with it. I think that we've always just put them in a shelf location called display, so that we could distinguish that they're not actually on the shelf where they're supposed to be. I don't know that my library uses that anymore, but I think that I have some libraries in my consortium that do it that way. But we've never used the course reserves. I did see Ed talk about it at KohaCon when he presented on that, and it seemed interesting at the time, but I never really followed up or did anything with it.
Yeah, I went over his video, and it was an interesting idea. And I really wanted to see if we could get the statistics on the items that are on display and circulate. And currently, right now, we're just checking them out to display, and that kind of takes them off the catalog. And we just kind of want to find a better workaround for that. And the course reserve seemed to be an option. From what his video, if you're at all interested, I suggest you to take a look at it. And I was actually reading up on Kelly's post about it, and we have Discovery or Aspen, so we don't really need the jQuery to change the OPAC so much. But having the course reserve to switch it on and off and easily manage these items and get the stats, that's what we're kind of looking for. Is that Margaret down there? Has anybody actually seen the video? Jason, you said you went to the conference, but
Yeah, if you scroll down to the bottom of that blog post, I think Kelly has a link there.
yeah, it's about 17 minutes, but I don't think anybody, it's there for anybody who wants to watch it. I was just kind of curious to see if anybody had seen it. Does anybody have anything else to talk about? Or are we just a very, very quiet crowd?
The second one, I guess. Uh, I was trying to look and see if we were actually still using this display shelf location. One reason we didn't like use the course reserves module is because I do have an academic library in my consortium, and I've always been like, well, if you want to use course reserves, you can do that, but they never bite. But I don't want to like lock it up, in case they ever decide they do want to use it. I know that at KohaCon, Ed had put in a bug ticket to set this up so it's a separate module, like having a display module and a course reserves module separate. But I don't think it ever got much traction.
Yeah, we have a very active when we were open, we had a very active display group. Our customer services were actually asking me to set up a Hoopla display, specific like content in Hoopla, just to display that. And you're able to do that, but man, it's a lot of work. So
Is anybody else an early adopter? The next upgrade? No. It's gone really smoothly for us, yes. The last one before that was terrible for us.
Have you started, or excuse me, have you started to use the browse display or the new browse feature at all?
Not really. We're just kind of, mostly we were just hoping that we weren't going to have the problems that we had. I think part of the last one was so rough is because of the closure and then the upgrade, and oh my gosh, we had a few days where I was just ready to bury myself.
what happened? What problems did you have in the last upgrade?
Oh gosh. Let me see. Gosh, do you remember? It's just one thing after another. A lot of it had to do with, I think more it had to do with the fact that we were quarantining things and we were trying to figure out a way so we could get items checked in, but then put them into quarantine. And when we stayed open for a very long time in comparison to other libraries, and then we closed and we changed all of our due dates. And I think part of the problem we had is that we made so many changes in a short amount of time. And we tried to be real careful about writing everything down and changes in the system preferences that we made, but we probably weren't as careful as we needed to be. So when we started going again, and then we had the upgrade, it was just, we couldn't tell if it was because it was part of the upgrade or if it was because we'd had so many changes that we'd made before we were upgraded. So I think it was just a combination of different things all together at the same time. So some of the things that we've had trouble with in the past is like guarantors and making sure that we have a guarantor with all of our juvenile counts and things like that. But this upgrade has been super smooth. And I don't know if it's partly because we're all so traumatized from the last year, so everything is like easy now, or if it's just that it's really smooth. It seems very smooth this time. So
I know when we upgraded, some of us, myself included, lost all the tools, and they didn't know what tools I had previous to that. So they kind of just said, okay, well, we think you had these tools. So now I don't know. I swear I had the ability. So they gave me back some tools, but now I don't know what I'm still missing unless I'm like, well, I thought I could do this before and I don't see this anymore. So I find that I'm putting in tickets a lot, I think I was able to do this before. So I'm a little bit worried about the upcoming upgrade. I better take a picture of what I have right now so that I can make sure I have it when we, go to the new version.
Yeah, that was an issue that we had crop up a lot with the last upgrade. Was I had people that would randomly just not have access to things they had access to before the permissions got scrambled. Like my head of cataloging couldn't run reports anymore. That's kind of a definite thing that I wouldn't have done on purpose. So yeah, I agree with you. The last upgrade was kind of traumatic. There were also a lot of things to do with the account lines, where like old credits were
Yes.
crawling back from the graves, and we had phantom fines at one point, that things that couldn't be explained that we just had to kind of wipe out. So, and we're not an early adopter, but our data is old, and it's been migrated at least once, and so it's obviously not going to be perfect or clean with every upgrade, but man, last time seemed really rough. So it's good to hear that this time it is less traumatic. We haven't upgraded yet, but looking forward to some of the changes that are coming.
So when we upgraded, we didn't have any of our tools disappear or anything like that. But I noticed a lot of my JavaScript just disappeared, and it seemed like some of our circulation rules also disappeared. But that just might have been me being, forgetful. But great that it sounds like it's gone well so far. So that and it has
jQuery disappearance is like a nightmare. Don't talk about that.
it was weird. It was like I was looking at. I'm like, I remember setting this up. What happened to it? But
Yeah. Have to watch for that. I know that Lizette mentioned that they had a lot of issues with their circ find rules with this upgrade, because there's two different things, improvements, I guess you could call them, regarding the circ find rules. They're moving it to a different table, and also adding validation on the rules. So like if they aren't valid, then they get eliminated. But something about that happened out of order for her, so things stopped working completely, and they had to do a poll and restore that, to restore her rules. So that's something to watch for sure.
ouch. By the way, how many people are on Discovery? Is anybody else besides us or Aspen?
We're
Yeah.
not.
That's
It's on my wish list, but we don't have. It's not in the budget for us at this point. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, it's really cool. Although when people put out custom jQuery for the old site, you kind of shake your fist because it doesn't work in Aspen or Discovery, and it was like the curbside tool, and they had you could set up pickups, and you can do that in the old OPAC, but you can't do it in Aspen or Discovery, which it was kind of frustrating. But all in all, it's great. Our users love it. So
Yeah, I really want that fervorization is my dream. Being able to have them all grouped and then they can pick a format, which Aspen does. I know that there's a pretty hefty ticket on the dev site to bring that to Koha baseline. It's like $20,000 or $30,000 or something. So uh, we'll get it someday, either by finally adopting Aspen or helping pay for that development. But yeah, that's something I've wished Koha could do forever. So it's cool that the option is available.
Are people using the quarantine, any of the quarantine developments that they made for Koha Just curious what, like either a shelving location or a status.
We're
Yeah,
using
the,
the, oh,
shelf-
go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
You go.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, we're using the shelving location, the quarantine status for 72 hours. That's just a general question I have is everybody still quarantining and for how long?
So we're using the shelving location as well. And we're quarantining for, I believe we're at 4 days. I know we've had some discussion about that. We're basically following what the statewide courier recommends at this point. But I don't know that all my libraries follow it that closely. I know that some of my libraries have UV sanitation things, and so they're, instead of quarantining the stuff that comes back, they just sanitize it and put it back on the shelf. I don't know. But yeah, for the most part, my libraries are all still quarantining for 48 hours. And we use the shelf location to automatically kind of handle that whole process.
Yeah, we're doing 72, but we're not, we have the ability to use the shelving location, but we're actually, my library is so small and we don't have a lot of volume going through it right now. We're actually setting it aside and then checking it in 3 days later. But because all our classes right now are pretty much online, so we don't have a lot of people coming in. So, and then all the libraries in our network, everybody's doing something different. One library does have that sanitation device they bought, and then, you know, some libraries aren't open at all for any, you know, returns or checkouts. So everybody's doing something different.
We are actually not using it. We aren't even returning material. We are doing a quarantine, but we don't put it through the machine until 72 hours. And I was actually going to ask you guys, do you clean your machines every time you run it or run material through it? Because I'm assuming you have to check it in to get that status, right?
Right. So I had libraries doing it both ways initially. I think for the most part, they are just checking the items in first, applying the status, then setting them aside, and then washing their hands. But I did have some libraries that were waiting the 3 or 4 days before they ever touched it and then checked it in. And it would still apply the status, but they'd just put it on the shelf at that point anyways, which both ways are sloppy. Yeah. And as far as using the UV thing, I don't really know because we don't have one in house. I'm not sure what the process is there completely.
We started with just checking everything in manually after 72 hours. And then we were getting so many phone calls about, I'd return this, I need this checked in. So we, at some point that I can't remember how long it was ago, but we started just everything is getting checked in through our machine. And then we put it on, we put all of our materials on carts. And I bought 5 or 6 different colored carts of, I probably have about 100 carts now. And we cart everything around and we put it in certain areas. So it's kind of like, we put it in our meeting room, but sometimes we have get-togethers there. So I have to like squirrel things away in closets. And, but anyway, it's much smoother for us to have the items just get checked in immediately. It's made our patrons happy and it's made our staff a lot happier as well. So we did it both ways, and plan B works better than plan A.
You know, I petitioned for us to check material in and then use the quarantine status, but they're concerned about transmission, so we went to just holding it and notifying or putting up messages on the website and anything any communications to the patrons that it's going to be on your account for 3 days. Don't worry about it. We actually did extend the overdue notice by like, I want to see 10 days. So they don't get, dinged or notified that their items are overdue for quite a while. So
That's what my public library did. They just have on the website, they say, please note that, they won't get, it'll be quarantined for 3 days before it comes off your account. So don't be alarmed. So I guess that's how they worked around that.
this is kind of, so we were going to do the curbside tool, but we switched over to a new service called Communico. And I was wondering if anybody had heard of it or have used it with Koha.
No, what is it?
It's kind of you schedule meetings and set up, you can do the curbside as well. There's a couple other features on it that I haven't really looked at yet, but our community relations signed up for it and they're like, hey, it's got this feature, let's try this out. So
And is it tied into Koha or is it just a separate?
it's supposed to be, they're working on an API to work with Koha, but I think we're one of the first libraries to start using it. They say they have a couple of other ones, but when I asked, they didn't tell me which library. So
We've been using libcal. Our systems person got it set up like a month ago or so, and he's done a great job. And so now we can schedule curbside pickup. We schedule study sessions, and we can schedule like quick prints where they can come in for half an hour. And that seems to be working really well with us. So as far as the curbside, that would be pretty much the only thing we would need to use Koha for. So that's kind of like a mediated appointment. And so the staff will have to go in, like the patron will enter what they need or something like that. And the staff will go in and somehow reply to it. Yeah, we have the book or something like that. But that's worked out well for us so far. We didn't use the plugin for Koha because it looked pretty complicated. And we're not there every day, and staff is taking turns coming in. So I didn't know whether people would remember all the different steps they were supposed to do. So that's why originally we passed on that.
yeah, our director thought that the co-op tool is pretty complicated too. I don't know. It kind of made sense to me, but I love tinkering with things and I like complicated stuff. So, but, it was called, you said libcal, right?
Yeah, it's by SpringShare. It's part of how we use LibGuides, and I guess
Okay.
LibGuide is like another product that they offer.
I remember SpringShare. I did some time at a community college, and we had SpringShare for our LibGuides too. So,
And I think we use LibAnswers, and I don't know if we use anything else, but the reference librarians use a number of.
well, it doesn't look like we have any more people joining us. Were there any other topics that people wanted to cover? I'm gonna guess that's a no. So, I'm gonna play around with the course reserves and displays, and I've got some guinea pigs that that are looking forward to using it, and I will get back to you guys and tell you how it goes. If we adopt it, yay. If we don't, then I'll tell you guys, warn you guys to abandon it or don't even look into it. So, but thanks everybody for showing up today, and I'll see you guys next month, huh?
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you. Bye.